step into the arena of minds. On this channel, every move is a clash of strategy, every sacrifice a turning point, and every game a battle for glory. Watch two players push the limits of creativity and calculation as we bring you the drama, suspense, and excitement of chess like never before. Magnus Carlsen opens with d4, pushing the queen-pawn forward confidently, immediately claiming central space and setting a serious strategic tone. Wesley So replies nf6, developing a knight calmly, challenging the center and keeping his position flexible and solid. Magnus Carlsen plays c4, expanding central control and grabbing queenside space, inviting early strategic confrontation. Wesley So answers a6, reinforcing the center and preparing a resilient, flexible pawn structure. Magnus Carlsen develops nc3, strengthening central pressure and accelerating harmonious piece development. Wesley So pins immediately with bb4, provoking structural decisions and applying subtle positional pressure. Magnus Carlsen responds e3, calmly supporting the center and freeing his dark-squared bishop without tension. Wesley So castles o0, securing king's safety early and signaling readiness for a long technical battle. Magnus Carlsen develops nf3, reinforcing central control and preparing smooth kingside coordination. Wesley So strikes with c5, directly challenging the pawn center and transforming build-up into confrontation. Magnus Carlsen places bd3, centralizing the bishop and calmly accepting the central tension. Wesley So answers d5, locking the center and defining the pawn structure with confidence. Magnus Carlsen captures cxd5, releasing tension and forcing Wesley to clarify his central setup. Wesley So recaptures x5, opening lines and accepting structural changes for active piece play. Magnus Carlsen pushes dxi5, boldly grabbing material and momentarily disrupting black's coordination. Wesley So responds bg4, developing with tempo, pinning the knight and injecting tactical pressure immediately. Magnus Carlsen castles o0, prioritizing king's safety and showing confidence despite the pin. Wesley So plays nbd7, reinforcing central squares and preparing flexible redeployment. Magnus Carlsen develops bd2, directly challenging the pinning bishop and offering simplification. Wesley So chooses bxf3, doubling Magnus's pawns and inflicting lasting structural damage. Magnus Carlsen recaptures qexf3, centralizing the queen and accepting weaknesses for activity. Wesley So jumps nc5, regaining the pawn and activating the knight with precise timing. Magnus Carlsen retreats bc2, preserving the bishop pair and maintaining diagonal pressure. Wesley So plays nc4, planting a knight centrally and daring Magnus to resolve the tension. Magnus Carlsen captures bx4, eliminating the advanced knight before it dominates. Wesley So recaptures nexu4, restoring central presence and keeping dynamic balance. Magnus Carlsen places rf don, lining a rook on the open file and increasing central pressure. Wesley So activates Q5, eyeing queenside targets and adding tactical threats. Magnus Carlsen strikes next f4, removing the centralized knight and easing pressure slightly. Wesley So responds Decisive, opening lines and unleashing piece activity aggressively. Magnus Carlsen captures bx4, exchanging off the pinning bishop and simplifying the queenside. Wesley So recaptures qxb4, restoring material balance and keeping the queen active. Magnus Carlsen plays qa2, consolidating pieces and preparing coordinated rook play. Wesley So centralizes rfd8, stacking pressure on the d-file with cold precision. Magnus Carlsen plays h3, creating luft for his king and preventing future pins, a calm move before the storm intensifies. Wesley So responds g6, reinforcing dark squares, preparing kingside stability and hinting at long-term defensive resilience. Magnus Carlsen activates Raccoon, placing a rook on the open file, subtly increasing pressure on black's queenside structure. Wesley So strikes with rx.new, exchanging rooks forcefully to simplify while keeping positional initiative firmly in hand. Magnus Carlsen recaptures Ryexstone, maintaining material balance and central control despite mounting pressure. Wesley So plays r8, activating the remaining rook and aligning it with the c-file for future invasions. Magnus Carlsen pushes b3, solidifying the queenside pawns and denying easy entry squares. Wesley So advances f5, grabbing space aggressively and fixing kingside pawns for potential breakthroughs. Magnus Carlsen thrusts g4, an ambitious counterstrike, challenging black's kingside structure head-on. Wesley So calmly responds qe5, centralizing the queen and increasing pressure across multiple lines. Magnus Carlsen steps kj2-0, sidestepping future checks and preparing to meet threats more actively. Wesley So plays q5, improving queen activity and coordinating threats with chilling precision. Magnus Carlsen places rd4, centralizing the rook defensively to contest files and slow black's momentum. Wesley So responds ka7, quietly improving king's safety before escalating operations elsewhere. Magnus Carlsen retreats q1, reorganizing defensively and bracing for a sustained assault. Wesley So captures xeg4, opening the h-file brutally and tearing open Magnus's kingside shelter. Magnus Carlsen recaptures qxe4, keeping material equality while accepting growing danger. Wesley So invades with rce2, storming the second rank and decisively seizing the initiative. Magnus Carlsen plays qc4, grabbing central material and hoping counterplay can offset pressure. Wesley So fires qg5e, a forcing check that drives the king and tightens the tactical grip. Magnus Carlsen steps kf-one, constrained and uncomfortable, struggling to coordinate his defense. Wesley So captures rx-advu, snatching a pawn and expanding his material and positional advantage. Magnus Carlsen plays r4, activating the rook defensively to block further queenside penetration. Wesley So repositions rd2, coordinating rooks efficiently and increasing pressure on the back rank. Magnus Carlsen steps Keone, centralizing the king out of necessity as threats multiply rapidly. Wesley So plays rd5, cutting off escape routes and asserting full control of key files. Magnus Carlsen responds rd4, blocking again stubbornly, fighting to delay black's dominance. Wesley So slides rb5, shifting laterally to maintain threats from multiple directions. Magnus Carlsen pushes b4, gaining space but clearly operating under defensive strain. Wesley So answers a5, opening lines mercilessly and accelerating the queenside assault. Magnus Carlsen advances h4, seeking luft and counterplay as pressure continues to mount. Wesley So delivers Kogone, a sharp check that forces the king deeper into danger. Magnus Carlsen steps Ketu, walking to the center as safe squares rapidly disappear. Wesley So plays r5, activating the rook aggressively and tightening the attacking net. Magnus Carlsen plays Fauer, pushing the pawn forward to block lines, desperately trying to blunt Wesley So's relentless attacking momentum. Wesley So responds qg4 key, delivering a precise check, forcing the king to move and tightening the pressure mercilessly. Magnus Carlsen steps kd3, centralizing the king under fire, hoping to escape the immediate tactical net. Wesley So plays q-down eddy, a cold-blooded check, dragging the king deeper and demonstrating flawless calculation. Magnus Carlsen moves kc3, narrowly sidestepping danger as the board becomes increasingly hostile. Wesley So fires Kukonio, another sharp check, methodically herding the king toward exposed squares. Magnus Carlsen retreats kd3, repeating the dance, visibly running out of safe options. Wesley So advances a4, pushing the passed pawn, transforming pressure into a concrete, advancing threat. Magnus Carlsen plays Ketu, centralizing again, though every square feels increasingly unsafe. Wesley So pushes a3, the pawn marching forward ominously, signaling an inevitable endgame conversion. Magnus Carlsen plays rd2, attempting a last-ditch defensive regroup to slow the oncoming collapse. Wesley So responds Kogon, repositioning the queen calmly while keeping deadly threats alive. Magnus Carlsen plays qc4, activating his queen for counterplay, though the initiative remains firmly black's. Wesley So plays rf6, reinforcing control, coordinating pieces and preparing the final decisive sequence. Magnus Carlsen retreats qd4, covering key squares and resisting with stubborn precision. Wesley So advances a2, the passed pawn reaching the doorstep, a clear symbol of impending defeat. Magnus Carlsen plays ardon, lining up pieces and bracing for the final assault. Wesley So fires qgt2 fat, delivering another forcing check and driving the king further into danger. Magnus Carlsen steps KD3, cornered and exhausted, with defensive resources rapidly disappearing. Wesley So plays KC6, centralizing the queen and calmly sealing Magnus's fate. Magnus Carlsen pushes A5, a symbolic final thrust, refusing to surrender without resistance. Wesley So responds CAC7, stepping aside coolly and allowing tactics to finish the job. Magnus Carlsen captures H6 G9, opening lines with check, a final spark of defiance. Wesley So recaptures RX G6, extinguishing the attack instantly and maintaining total control. Magnus Carlsen plays B5, pushing a pawn in hope of chaos, though the position remains hopeless. Wesley So responds QX B5, snapping the pawn and delivering a crushing check with authority. Magnus Carlsen moves KC2, stumbling onward as resistance fades further. Wesley So checks with RG2 and 1, continuing the relentless pursuit without mercy. Magnus Carlsen steps KC3, the king wandering helplessly across the board. Wesley So plays QB2 and 2, coordinating queen and rook perfectly to close all escape routes. Magnus Carlsen moves KC4, barely standing as the mating net tightens completely. Wesley So delivers RC2 on another hammering check that seals the position beyond saving. Magnus Carlsen steps KD5, exposed and exhausted, with no defenses left. Wesley So finishes with QB3, a final icy check that forces resignation and crowns a ruthless victory. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to bring you even more exciting chess games. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, Nis, Niyabalaya.